Okay, so we were talking about pandas, okay? And what we said was pandas is of course the package which will help us to read data as a in table format, okay, as a table. So um, first of all, okay, you have to install it just like you install other packages like it's pip install pandas, and then you say import pandas, and generally we give it an alias with PD, okay? So we give it alias PD. Now you can, once we do a couple of exercise, then we'll show you how to read the data from CSV as data, as you can read from Excel or from CSV or from database as a data frame. So let's say um, if you have a data um, in list format. So if I say L1 equal to, and I give values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so using pandas, so panda has a feature called data frame. Data frame is actually the table format. Okay, so if I create df data frame 1 equal to pd dot, okay, and I didn't, yeah, pd dot data frame, and here I say L1. Now you print df1. Okay, so they're doing in June, so let's run June. Okay, so it's going to convert. You see, it created a table. Okay, each of the rows has an index. We call this as index or row number. Okay, so row number or index is assigned here. Okay, and you have column number 0. Since I did not give column name, okay, it has assigned a name 0 here. Okay, so this is a table with just one column. Of course, you can create multiple columns. So I can say list 1 equal to, okay, list of list, list inside list. And here I can assign values like, let's say, Sachin, okay, um, 101, 20,000, let's say. Okay, I can go here and say, Kapil, 501, 12,000, let's say. Here I can go and say, Sunil, 12, 21,000, let's say. Here I can go and say, Zahir, 725, comma, 2,000, let's say. Okay. And now when I run it, so see here, I have given a list, okay? And so list of lists. So each of these becomes a row. Okay. Each of these becomes a row. Okay. And I made sure that I give same kind of data first. So this is going to be your first column. So this entire list is first row, and this is your first column, second column, third column, first column, second column, third column, first column, second column, third column. Okay, so you get a table like this, right? And see, we have not given the column names, so the column name are still like 0, 1, 2 only. Correct? It is 0, 1, 2 only. Okay, so by itself, it's going to add by itself, it's going to add um, you know a name 0, 1, 2, okay, so on. Okay, now it's in our hand. We can actually give a column name as well. Let's say you don't like the number, you can generally, the table will have column names, isn't it? So we can give column names. How? So okay, let's say when you're forming the data frame here, right? When you're forming the data frame, then you say columns. Okay, so I'll say comma columns, and you can give the name of the columns in index. So first column, let's say, is called player. Second column is, let's say, your wickets. And let's say third column is, let's say, runs. Okay. Now when you run it, you see, you got column names here. Okay. So columns are called columns. You can also give names to rows as well, or index. Okay. So sometimes, okay, see, obviously when we read big data frame, they're not possible for us to give names, right? Uh, but uh, but let's say when you are dealing with small data set, okay, you can give a name if you want to. Okay, so here also I can give a name. So that's called index. Okay, I'll say index. Okay, and I can give something like this. Okay, like player one, player two. Okay, or I can say team's name. Okay, so I can say player one. Now, number of index. Now, I can, okay, this also has to be list, multiple values, right? So if you are not giving name, it's fine. But if you're giving name, it has to match the number of columns or number of rows. I cannot give, names to only two columns, not give name to third column. I cannot give name to four, like out of four, two indices, and not give name to other two indices. Okay. You have to follow same pattern. So here I'll say player one. Okay. Player two, player three, player four. Okay. And now when you print it, okay, so you get player, wickets, runs, and you have player one, player two, player three, player four. Okay, so this is how you can create a table. You can create table from um, from your dictionary as well. Okay, so in dictionary, since you have the key there, we don't have to give the column name specially. Okay, the dictionary's column key itself will become the column name. Okay, so let's say here I create dictionary one, or D1 I call it. Okay, now I want to create fruit production or something like that. Okay. So your first key, let's say I call it as apple. Okay, and the values can be list because um, you have
recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay.
Who just
Who
joined?
just joined?
Rohit, are you
Rohit,
on
are you
mute?
on mute?
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Rohit. Okay, so you have a, I'm creating a dictionary, okay, and using dictionary, I'm going to convert that into data frame, right? So dictionary has a, let's say, key as apple, and we talk about fruit production, right? So let's say we add three numeric value for the production, okay, for 3 months, let's say. So I can say here, let's say, first month production was 12,000, then 11,000. Okay, then let's say 13,000. Okay, this is first item, right? First key and value pair here in dictionary. You can add second one as well. Let's say, I have second fruit as well. And then I can give the production quantity for banana. So let's say I can give 17,000, 18,000, and 19,000. Let me add one more column to the table. So I'll say here mango, let's say. Okay. And you can have, let's say, 11,000, 13,000, and say 15,000. Okay. Now, when you convert into data frame, okay, so you will say df, let's make it 2 here, equal to pd dot data frame, right? And now I'm going to pass d1 to this. Now, if you run df2, okay, Let's see what happens. Now you see, the key of dictionary became column name, and the value that we gave in the list becomes the values in the column. Okay, so this is how you can create a data frame or table from a dictionary. Okay, so we just saw how to create a data frame from a list. So you have list of list, then from dictionary. So dictionary here, your key will become the column and your values will be in list again. Okay, and list of values will become the values in the column. You can create a data frame from list of dictionaries. Okay, so let's see that another example. So I'm going to call it as creating data frame from dictionary. Okay, so okay, so it's from list of dictionaries, right? So dictionary we have already seen list of say dictionary. So here again, I'm going to create, let's say, data one or something. Now this is your list, right? And in the list, each of these values will become a key. So I'll say here, let me add, let's say, 3 values here. Now I say here, um, um, here we have players have taken production. Let's take production only, water apple product or fruit production only. So key I'm giving as, let's say, I'll take some other fruit, let's say guava. Okay, guava. Now guava has a value, let's say 9,000. Okay, now I can add one more value to this, right? Key value or item. So let me call it as oranges. Okay, and let's say I give value as 5,000. Okay, so this is one dictionary, right? Okay, so here you have one fruit and its value, second fruit its value. Now, okay, in the next dictionary, the key should be same. Okay, that means we are talking about same set of fruits. Of course, values you can change. Okay, but your keys has to match. Okay, so I can say this as 7, this as, let's say, 6. Now I can convert this into data frame. So I'll say df3 equal to pd dot data frame. Now I'm going to convert this as, okay, data 1, and now you print df3. Okay, now you run it. So you see, the keys that we gave became the column header, and the values, okay, that we gave took the first row, next set of values took the second row, and then third one took the third row. Okay, so you can create data frame. If you're creating your own data frame, you can create the frame out of list or dictionary, or list of dictionaries or dictionaries of list, right? So this is about creating the data frame or creating the table, okay, using pandas. Next we'll talk about is how do you read a member from this. Okay, I want to read, I don't want to print the entire table. Okay, I want to print a part of this. Okay, then what do we do that? Okay, it's called indexing, just like we do indexing in list and tuple. So how do we do indexing in list or tuple, Karan?
Indexing and list and tuple, we just do like we use the square brackets into it, right?
Square bracket, right? So here too we use square bracket. Okay, indexing in Python is always used, is always done using square bracket, whether it is list or tuple or string or numpy or pandas. Okay, So I'm going to use square bracket. But here we need to give row and column value. Okay. Okay. And now, so there's one more thing here. When we say df3, we can access the data, okay, using the column names or column indices. Okay. So what data frame says is, if you are using, okay, if you want to do indexing using name, okay, so you use loc. Okay, you tell me that you want to use using loc. Okay, so what is loc? Loc is a function which will help us to access the data using the column names or row names, index names. If you want to use reference or the indices 0, 1, 2, then say okay, then you call me as iloc. Okay, how I remember is I for integer. Okay, so if I is there, then I need to give number. And when I is not there, when you use loc, that means now you have to give text. Okay, so okay, let me use for example, like first with index numbers itself. So you have iloc here. Okay, so df3.iloc square bracket, and I want okay, I want only guava's information. I don't want orange. Okay, so what's the index of first column? 0. So I'll say 0, comma, row, comma, column. Row reference, comma, column reference. So comma will always separate your row from column. So left side is your row. Second, right side of column will be column. So here I say 0. 0 referring to the first column. And in second column, let's say I want all the values, right? So what will I give? We saw that in NumPy. What do we give? Just the colon here, right? Okay. Just the colon to indicate begin from first and go up to the end. Okay. Now let's see. So see, you have got, no, what happened? We got guava 9,000 and we're getting orange 5,000. So this is first row, right? Right. So you got first row values. And for all the columns, so you got guava 9,000 and oranges 5,000, right? So we got first row and all column values, right? Now, if I want first column and all rows, what should I do? How do I change this value? I want all rows, right? So this side I have to give colon. So I'll get all rows. And which column I want? I want only first column. So I'll say 0 here. So now you will get only first column, right? So 9,000, 8,000, and 10,000. That's the values of guava, right? So it gave you values, and down below it says name is guava. You can have continuous values. So let's say we go to second one, df2. So df2, let's say we say print here df2, okay, dot iloc. Okay, now here let's say I need apple and mango. Now if I need apple and banana, okay, so after comma I'll say 0 and I need 1, right? So I'll go up to 2, right? So if I say 0 colon 2, that means I need 0 and 1 because starting value is always including. So 0 will be including and second value is up to. So when I say 2, it is up to 2. That means not including 2, right? So it will go up to 1. So you have 0 and 1 here. So I'm saying I want 0 and 1. So I'll get banana and apple and banana. And I'll say colon here. That means start from beginning, go all the way up to the end of the row. So when you run it, you will get apple and banana, right? We got all the 3 rows, but we have got only apple and banana. Now I want only apple and mango, right? I can't use colon in that case, right? So you can give it like a list here. List, and you say, I want column 0, comma, column 2. Column 0 is apple and 2 is mango. So I can give it as a list here and then pass the values here. Okay, so you got apple and mango. I want only row, let's say row first and third. So same way here I'll give list first and third. First is 0, third is 2, right? So I can say 0, comma 2. Okay, now you see you got 0, comma 2. So this is how you can filter using iloc. Iloc means you have to give number, not name. Okay, I for integer. That's how you remember I for integer. Now, same thing you can do using name as well. So if I want to print using name, what should I do? I should say df2.loc. LOC means you are saying that you are going to use name, not the number, not the index. Okay, so I'm going to say LOC. Okay, now row. Okay, so again, square bracket, comma, left side row and right side column. Now, in df2, you see, we have not given any name, right? So if you have not given name, this index number 0, 1, 2 becomes default name. Okay, so this is name only. 0, 1, 2 is name. Okay, in this case, in LOC, I cannot say 0, 1, 2 because here we have given the name. So I'll have to use player 1, player 2. But here I can use it with just the index number. So I'll say 0, 1, 2. Okay. So I'll say LOC and same way. Okay. You want, let's say 0 and 2. So I'll say square bracket 0, comma 2. Okay. And this side, if you want only apple, just say apple. If you want 2 values, apple and mango, you go ahead and say apple, comma, mango. Okay. Now when you run it, see, you got 0, 2 and apple and mango. Okay. Now same thing, if you go to df1, the 0, 2 will not work. Okay. So if I say here 0, comma 2, okay, Sachin, no, this is player, right? Column name is player. So I'm going to say player and I'm going to say runs. Let's say you want to only display runs. Now in this case, this should give error. Let's see. Okay. Because these are not the names. When you say LOC, it expects that we give the name. Okay, so we won't get with but this would have worked with iloc. So here I will say I want details for player 1 only. So I'll put here player 1. Okay, now you see you'll get only details for Sachin. Oops, what happened? This is df1, sorry, not df2, right? Okay, so you get only player 1 Sachin, 20,000. Now, again, I want for player 4. So I'll say player 1, comma, player 4. Okay, close the quotation. So now when you run it, you will get player 1 and player 4, right? So if we are referring to the numbers, position numbers, okay, you have to use ILOC. And if you're using name, you say LOC. Okay. And information has to be within or the column number or reference has to be within the square bracket. Okay. This is how you can, index part of a data frame. Now this is mutable. Mutable means we can change the value. You can always refer individual values and change. Let's say I want to change 13,000. Okay. So if I want to change 13,000, how do I change 13,000? Apple is part of df2, right? Okay. So this is df2, right? I want to change 13,000 to 14,000. So how do I refer this point? So I'm going to say df2, okay, dot iloc, okay. Now this is row 2, isn't it? So I'll say row 2 and column 0, right? Row 2, column 0, okay? And this one I'm going to say equal to 14,000, right? Now if I print entire df2, okay, hopefully the value should be changed here. You see, the value is changed here, okay? So this is how you deal with data frames. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So this is about editing the value. Now, if you want to delete a particular value, okay, how do you delete the values in a data frame? Okay, so we should be able to delete based on column or row, right? I want to delete entire row or I want to delete entire column. Okay, how do we handle it? Okay, so let's say I want to delete. Um, uh, we'll take df1. So let me print df1 so that we see the value here. So I can put a print statement here saying something like this, df1. Sorry. Okay, so this is our df1, right? And I want to delete wickets. I don't want wickets column to be here. Okay, so I can simply say del space del space df1, okay, bracket open, okay, and you refer the column name here, df1 wickets. Okay, now when you print df1 again, okay, so see, wickets is gone. Okay, now let's say I want to delete, okay, one more thing on one more column. You can also use, okay, so here this is deleting or dropping, rather we don't say deleting, we say dropping. Okay, dropping column wickets using del. You can also drop wickets, dropping column using pop. So pop function will also do the same thing. So again, I have df1 dot pop, and you mention the column that you want to drop. So let's say I drop runs also. Okay, now we'll print df1 again. So see, runs also is gone. So you can drop, you can delete column using pop or del. Okay. Now, let's say I want to add one more um, one more column here. Okay. So I'll add average column. Okay. So what will I do? Okay. Now to add this, okay, I will simply say, okay, df1, right? So df1, and you give the column name. So I say average. Okay. So df1 average. Okay. Equal to, okay. Now, let's say we'll add this, okay, average before we start dropping, because I want to create this average based on two columns. So we'll see how to, use existing column to create new column. So let's say I'll have, okay, here we have both runs, right? So I'll say df1, okay, runs divided by, okay, df1 wickets, let's say. So I'm dividing runs by wickets to call it as average, let's say. Okay. Now you see your average remained. Okay. It divided runs by wickets. Okay. And you ended up getting these values. Okay. Just to show you how you can use existing column to calculate and get a new column. Okay. So this is how you can delete or add a new column here. Just simply if you say df and bracket in square bracket the column name, it will add a new column to that data frame. Okay. Now what I'll do is we will do some calculation, some reading the data. Okay. See, entire SQL operation you can perform on data frame. Okay. Data frame is a table-like structure for Python, right? And everything that you can do with SQL, all the select queries, okay, all the logic, okay, not the select query as in select query itself, but all the logic of select query can be performed on data frame. Okay. So let's say I want to perform certain action. Okay. So here I'll add some. So here I'll say, reading data from df1. Okay. And from here we started dropping, right? So I'll say dropping column. Okay. Okay. So let's say I want to find the average of a particular column. I want to find average of wickets, let's say. Okay. So we'll say print average runs or wickets, we said, right? So average wickets of all the players equal to. Okay. So I'm saying average wickets of all the players. Okay. Now if I say df1, okay, bracket open, df1 bracket open, wickets. Spelling should match. Okay. If it's capital W, it has to be capital W, right? So this is our wickets, right? So I said wickets, right? So if I print it, you will get column, okay, not average, but the column you will get, right? df1 reading the data, right? So you got all the players data here, player 1, 101, but I don't want the values. I want average, okay, or mean value. So you say dot, and you can perform all the operations, aggregate operation like average, sum, max, min. Okay. So you have mean for average, mean. Okay. You have sum, you have, okay, max. Okay. You have max, you have min. All these functions you can apply. In SQL, we discussed about aggregate function. All the aggregate function can be applied here. Okay. So I said average, right? So you have mean function here. Now, when you say mean and you run it, okay, so you get average wickets for all the players is 334.75. So you can roughly see if you add them together, 1300, right? So it's 1300 something. So 1300 by 4 is going to be more than 300, isn't it? So this is what you get, right? You can. Now let's say you want to do group by. What is group by?
Group by would like group together all the columns, similar columns.
All the columns, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And so what we'll do is, okay, we'll add one more column here in df1. Okay. So here let's add one more column, and I'll call this as batsman or bowler, right? So I'll say batsman. Okay. Okay. And I'll add this to say Sunil as well. And we'll call bowler. And we will add this to here, bowler. Okay. So we have added this column and I have to give the index also, column name also, right? So I'm going to say type or something. TYP type. Okay. Okay. So we've got type. Now I want to do average, okay, by group by type. That means you give me one average for batsman and you give me one average for bowler, right? So same thing, okay. I'm going to say average wickets of players by type. Okay. So I want to do by type. Okay. So here you give wicket. Okay. Where is that? Okay. Now, before we do wickets, okay, I want to do everything, let's say. Okay, I'll show you, let's say we do everything. So df1 dot, okay, you have group by. Okay, so I'm grouping by what? It's a function, so simple bracket by type. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to do sum or average? I want to do average, so I'll say mean here. Okay, so I'm saying group by type. Okay, so now you see, I said all the columns, right? And all the columns has text column also. Sachin, Sunil, text column. So can we do average on those? No, you cannot do average on, you cannot do average on text column, isn't it? Okay, so we have in here you have player, right? Now you can do average for runs, you can do average for wickets, you can, but you cannot do average for player, right? So for a minute, what I'll do, okay, just to show you how we can do an entire column, I'm trying to do an entire numeric column. So for a minute, let's drop this. So df1 dot, how do we drop? Pop. Pop, what's the column? It's called player, right? Or players, player, singular. Okay. Now when I drop player, now, okay, so see, you got average. Okay. So for batsman, average is 198, but what? Okay. Average of what? It has taken average of entire row. Okay. So it is not giving us, by column. It's not giving us runs and wickets. It has taken entire row. That's why you see batsman, first row, 198. Bowler, 23. Batsman, 1750. Okay. No, this is average, right? What am I talking about? Okay. So here, let me do this /n. Then you'll be able to understand better. And after, this also I'll do /n so that we get some space here. Okay. Now you see here, gap. So see, it has taken average of all the columns, wickets column, runs column. Okay. Now I want to do for row. So here you have something called as axis. Okay. Now axis, okay, 0. Let me show you here. Now, by default, it has done on all the numeric columns, right? Now, if I want to perform certain thing on row versus column, okay, so you have something called as axis. Okay. Now, when I say axis equal to 0, I'm talking about column. Sorry, row. Row is always first. So axis equal to 0 is for row. Means it refers, okay, refers to rows. And if I say axis equal to 1, then it refers to columns. Okay. Now let's say I want to drop itself. I want to delete. Okay. Now when I say here, okay, pop, we have already done it, right? So let's try to do it using drop. So when I say drop here, okay, now when you say drop, okay, and I give player here, okay, player, okay. Now when I run it, okay, it says player not found in access, okay, because when we do not give the access value, access default is 0, okay. So it is looking for player in row, in index, and it says player is not found in axis 0. That's what it means. Axis here means by default it is 0. So I'll say drop player, okay, and I'm saying that player is in axis 1, not in axis 0. So I'll say axis equal to 1, okay. Now you get same result, player will be dropped. So drop, okay, axis equal to 1. Okay, it is not dropped here. Okay, hold on. We'll print df1 here. Okay, this is how we give multi-line comment. I'm going to comment out all this for now. And let's print df1 first. So I'm saying player axis 1 df1. Player is not dropped, right? Reading from df1, player is still there. df1 only I use, right? df1. df1 dot drop player axis equal to 1. It's giving success also, right? So df1 dot drop, and then you have player here, right? And I'm saying axis equal to 1. That means look for player in column. Okay. So this player should have been removed from here. Okay. Now, see, the reason here is when you do drop, it returns a new data frame. Okay. Unlike pop and del. Unlike pop and del, this drop, okay, returns a new data frame. Okay. Now I need to catch it. How do I catch it? Now I can say df1 equal to, if I say df1 equal to, then the df1 value will be changed here. So I have to say df1 equal to df1 dot drop. Okay. So it is removing from drop 1, and then we will save it back to df1. So when you save back to df1, now if you do print df1, player will be gone. Okay. See, the player is gone. Okay. So drop will not update the same data frame. It is dropping and returning a new data frame. So if you want to catch it in df1, you catch it df1, or you can create df3 equal to df4. So when I say df4, okay, df1 will remain as it is, okay, original values, okay, with player. And when I say print df4, now df4 is same as df1 except that player column will not be there. Okay, so it is returning a new data frame. So if you want to change the existing one, you say df1 equal to, or you can capture that output in a new data frame. So I have put it in new data frame df4. Okay, this will not drop an update. Your pop and delete will drop an update, but drop will not update. Okay, you have to catch it as a new data frame. So I say df1. So now your df1 is updated, and now all these things will become valid. Okay, that's the difference between drop and other two. Okay, so your data is here. Now you can even perform like I told you, right, SQL queries, right? So before dropping here, before dropping player here, let's say I want to read data again. So I'll read data. Okay, and I'm saying here okay, I want to create new data set. Okay, want to create new data set. Okay, data set without Sachin, let's say. Okay, so I'll say new data set. So df4 equal to now df1 of. Okay, and all the log, if like where clause, right? In SQL, when we write where clause, all the where clause can be updated within this square bracket. So I'm saying df4 equal to df1. So whatever the output we get from df1 will be stored in df4, right? So I'm saying, okay, so here I'm going to say df1 dot, okay, df1 dot, okay, player, right? We'll talk about player. So we'll say player. So df1 dot player will give us access to the player. And I'm saying not equal to Sachin. So this is going to return all the data except Sachin, because I'm saying you give me, I'm filtering out, okay? I'm doing a filter here. So I'm saying filter, or it's like where clause, where not equal to, player not equal to Sachin. Now when I say here, okay, I'll give slash n here, and then comma df4. Slash n will print in new line, right? It will not print the same line. So now you see new data set. New data set. So we got all the values except Sachin. Okay, so you can put a where clause as well. Okay, this is aggregate. You're putting aggregate. We are putting where clause. Now here, the reason I was doing drop here is, now let's say if I have to perform group by. Okay, so you can drop. Okay, so if I use pop and delete, it is dropped permanently, isn't it? You can't get it back. Instead, what you can do is you can drop the column using drop, and then you perform group by. So when we read data set, and data set will have multiple, like it'll have text and number both, right? So if you want to drop, okay, you can create a new data frame and drop what you don't want. Okay, so temporarily you are dropping, but your main data set, okay, will have all the values. So you create a temporary data set, drop all the text data, and you can perform aggregate function, because these functions work only on numbers, mean, average, sum. So you can drop temporarily using drop. Okay, so this is how you can drop the data, read the data. Okay, you can manipulate the data in the sense you can use where clause like this. Okay, so all the conditions that we give is within the square bracket. Okay, so I'm saying df4 equal to df1. Okay, so if I stop here, then df4 will look exactly like df1. But I'm saying wait, okay, I want to add some condition. That's when you put square bracket and you give your condition within the square bracket. Okay, this is going to put a filter on this, and you get data without those values. Okay, So these are basic operations on data frame. We'll stop here today. Tomorrow we will not meet, and on Wednesday we will read external files. We'll read CSV files, Excel file, and we will treat them as table. Okay, and on Wednesday we'll see how to merge two different tables. Right? We have discussed merge like joins in SQL, right? When like we have to merge two different tables. So on certain column, we'll do same merge it. So we'll read uh, uh, data from external files, we'll perform merge. Okay, so with that, we will stop our basic pandas discussion. And then when we get into data visualization, okay, we will reuse all the concept that we have done, we will apply there.